through this tincture that I created, and 10 drops, and it is light. You become light.
Yeah, I too have started to drink that tea, and I actually am becoming afraid that if I keep drinking this tea, it'll just go right through me because I'll just be light.
Enlightened or whatever.
Clap me in, coach.
Clap me in, coach. I went to not Eastside Music Supply. What's the other music store?
Fannies.
Next to Mas Tacos. Drum Supply. And like I took Luna there, and she like picked this out and like wanted this, and I was like, okay, like we'll get it. This shit was like $20-something.
$20.
Like, how much would you expect to pay for this? It was
maybe like
so now
$5.
Yeah, so now I just feel like I need to use it. I've yet to use it on anything. It's weird if I hold this the whole time.
No, it's your comfort pillow.
Okay, I'm just getting used to the camera thing.
Yeah.
And like pretending like I'm not aware that they're there.
We have to pretend
I'm
like
new to
these mics aren't in front of us right now.
Yeah, and like we're not trying to. Yeah, like
that we're not perfectly lit.
Mm-hmm.
We're just at a park.
I've almost tried pretending that like those are just another person. Because then you start to get in your head like, oh, we're making a podcast. It's weird, but it's
only
like,
a million other people.
It's only at least 3 other people watching.
Hi, Mom.
But I feel like hi, Mom. I feel like you're, and Casey who's gonna edit. I feel like you're used to camera though.
Yeah.
Because you do camera stuff. So it's like, do you have any secrets?
Any secrets?
Mm-hmm.
To be used to the camera?
Mm-hmm. It takes me 10 minutes to settle in. It's going to be weird for 10 minutes.
That's valid. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the secret is just do it a lot.
Yes. I'm pushing myself to like do it because it feels like, because when we go back and edit and like we've watched when I've watched the episodes that we made so far, they're all like worth it. They're all really fun. Mm-hmm. And they're all usually like what it would be if someone was just here hanging out. But I cringe watching them because I could see the first 10 minutes were like, I'm like,
you're still kind of warming.
I'm still
up.
like talking about it.
Yeah.
Like I'm still like right now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just gonna fuck it. Pretend they're not here.
This is the warm up round.
This is the warm up round.
Right
okay, I'll just start with who you are and why I asked you to be here.
Okay.
So I'm making this podcast. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. To have something for when I'm not working on music and I'm hanging with a lot of times like other songwriters or just like friends and stuff hanging in here, and sometimes I do wish I would have recorded conversations. Mm-hmm. And I also thought it would be good for me to have something that's not music to like throw myself into and then get like abnormally obsessed with and then like go back. It's like a cycle, but yeah, it's something that I've always wanted to do. So I'm like doing it. And when I was thinking about who would be fun to invite, and it's been all like music people so far. But you're so interesting to me because we met like one time. Mm-hmm. You came to my old studio. I think we randomly met over the internet.
Yeah.
And then you were taking photos I had just moved to Nashville, and like we just like connected, and you came over and took some like studio pictures, and then we like never saw each other ever again. But I always saw you on the internet, mm-hmm. and you're funny as fuck. And I think I was like kind of shy back then. I'm curious to get what your impression was of that whole thing, because thinking back to it, I just think of you as someone who comes up like that. I'm like, oh, I know that person. And you come up on my TikTok and you come up on my Instagram all the time, and I'm usually laughing. And I was like, okay, like if Haley doesn't want to come on, like you'll tell me you don't. But if you do, I want to like talk to other funny other funny people. Like, it's fun, funny. Like, I want to, like, you're funny, and I want to know what you're doing, and I want to, like, because you're doing a lot of stuff. You're also traveling and stuff, and you're doing a million things. And I think when we met, what were you doing? You were
not a million things.
Stuff?
Yeah, I was working a 9-to-5 job, just starting to kind of branch out into creative work with photography, but I didn't really get too into it. You were like one of the only people. I was like, well, do you need photos? Because I'm trying to practice. You're like, cool, yeah, sure. And yeah, I remember like that was a while ago now.
Was it weird?
Was it weird?
Yeah.
So weird. No.
Was I weird?
No.
Okay.
You were like very normal.
Okay.
But yeah, that was, I think then, yeah, you had just moved to Nashville. I think you had just gotten back from traveling all over the world and just getting settled into your new house and that lifestyle. And
were you... So because a lot of your bits and a lot of your comedy and a lot of the things that you're involved in, which like I want to talk about because I'm super curious, is very LGBTQ like centric. But when we met, I don't know if you were even out because it wasn't brought like it, not that it needs to be brought up, but like I was married I think already to my wife, and you told me a little bit about your upbringing, which if you're down to like you come from a pretty like big household, right? Like religious.
There is
a little bit. So we didn't like. So when did that? Were you out when we met?
I was. I think
it just didn't.
I can't remember exactly when we met, but I think I was married to a woman, or we had just gotten divorced. There was a marriage somewhere in there, and so I was out. But I wasn't yet doing any of the queer comedy. So, I mean, so online, it was just my personal page, a very regular Instagram account. No absurdities had emerged yet.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, when TikTok came out, that's when I just
Were you always
jumped
funny?
on it. Was I always funny?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I've always like had a very dry sense of humor. I've got 8 siblings. 7 of them are brothers, and I think they're all funny.
Wait, 7 of them are brothers?
Yes.
And then the 8th one is
my one sister.
Your one sister, and then you. So there's 9 total?
9 total.
Wow. So wild.
Yeah.
You guys are all from Tennessee?
We're all from Washington, D.C. area, so Northern Virginia side. And born and raised there. We all moved down here when I was about just turning 18. Okay. And so, I've been here a solid 10 years now.
So Nashville. The whole fam is here?
Well, we're all scattered now. My dad's in Tokyo. My oldest brother's in Utah. I have another brother in New Zealand. My sister's in Boston. And... yeah, the rest of us are here.
Whoa. Okay, I have so many things going on in my head. Okay, what happened between like TikTok exists? You're single. You like start experimenting with being funny, with your own funniness, and like discovering it. Yeah. Through making bits. So, but like, what was the first time where you were like, was it with your siblings where you're like, oh, we do this, we do bits, I'm the dry, funny one, this is natural, or was it a totally new discovery of like, I'm a funny person? I
don't know if you like had one of those old iMacs, like growing up as a kid, that had like iMovie on it. Ones? Essentially, I had kind of that era.
Had
Dell. Oh.
I didn't, but that's really fucking cool. Good for you. Yeah,
but it was like this was before like I was on social media or anything. I was in middle school, and we had this computer in our kitchen that was like the communal computer for the family, and we had like photo booth and iMovie on it.
Yeah, like the original
the OG.
Iteration.
Wow. With a little webcam on the computer.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's when it started for me. I would direct my siblings.
Oh, cool.
In little skits.
Okay.
They were absurd, but they were so much fun. And I remember I even like created a musical number.
Okay.
And
What was it
dance
called?
moves. It wasn't called anything. It was just
What was it about?
I think it was about standing up to a bully, but it was comedic and inspiring.
And they went along with it? Are they funny
did.
too?
They're pretty funny.
Are your parents funny?
They can be. My dad has like the best dry humor.
Okay.
So he's one of those where he'll make a joke, but if you don't know him well, you might not realize just because he's so stoic.
Got it. But for him, it's intentional.
For sure.
Yeah, because you rarely meet a person who's like really genuinely funny, not trying to, just like funny in the way that they are. And like they didn't have, usually there was like a funny person to be funny with growing up. Like how it is with music or something, you know? So you're doing bits and whatnot. You're like directing your sibs, 8 of them.
Yep.
All 8 of them were in these things?
I mean, some of them were very
Should
tiny.
we release them on TikTok?
Like little babies, but we're just throwing babies
What's the
around the
age
kitchen.
gap?
I mean, we're all solidly about 2 years apart. So I'm 28, and my oldest is, I don't know, like 32, 33, something like that. Wow. And then we're all just about 2 years apart.
That's
down
so
the line.
neat.
Yeah.
You guys talk all the time?
We do. Yeah,
Is
we're
there
all pretty close.
Is there family group chat?
We do have a group chat.
For the sibs?
Oh, yeah, for the sibs. I have to silence it frequently because they just go off with the memes. And once one meme has been deployed, it's going to be at least 50 before that train stops. So
Yeah, everyone's like chiming in. Your whole day's fucked.
Exactly.
Okay, so you're like on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you start making skits? Because you're funny though. Like
thank
you're
you.
funny. And I think also the stuff that's like your toothpaste bit was like, and it's not like queer, but it's like, it's just so relatable, and like your delivery is so good. It's just unique. Like you're funny as shit. So like, wait, okay, so like when did you discover that? Where you're like, huh, oh, okay. Like
what is this?
Was it from like external feedback? Like how'd you get the courage to like start posting yourself?
Yeah, so I didn't really, I mean, most of my adult life I didn't ever do anything with comedy. I didn't really consider myself funny. I was just working a really boring 9-to-5 desk job as a marketing assistant. And so when TikTok kind of first came out and really started to gain traction, I really just downloaded it because I was in marketing. And I'm like,
okay.
I should know this app. But I thought it was just for kids.
Was that like in 2020?
2019. Yeah.
Pre.
And so I learned by just doing things. So I just put one video that I already had on my camera roll just to see, all right, what would happen if I post this?
What was it?
It was just me crawling out of a window.
Okay. And you were just like, let's see, do you put hashtags or anything? You just like threw it up.
I just threw it up because I'm like, I don't know what this app is. And and I had no followers, but that one got 15,000 likes, which was bizarre because I was like, that would never happen on Instagram.
Yeah.
So I put another random video up. That one still performed somewhat okay. And then I was like, all right, there's something here.
There's something
here.
I'm funny.
Well, I still didn't think of it that way. I was just like, all right, this app is going somewhere. I should maybe learn it more for research, So my third video I made specifically for TikTok.
Okay.
It was Perks of Being a Lesbian. And it was just me dancing around my driveway. And that one got over 1 million views. And
What? It was just, that's all it was? Were there any like words on the screen?
yeah, this was like text overlay, and I would be like, dancing over here. This is one perk. Dancing over here. Second perk. And
Just dancing?
just dancing.
That's perks of being a lesbian, just like dancing in different locations?
Yeah.
It's like the
Like little text overlays would pop up, and it was ridiculous. But but no, it took me a while actually, because I was pretty insecure in the beginning about being on camera. So my way of easing into it was, in the beginning, I would only wear sunglasses in my videos, because I was like, if I wear sunglasses, I don't have to worry about what my eyes are doing.
Yeah.
One less factor, right? And TikTok, with it being the way it is, you can just put music on top, so I wouldn't speak in any of them. Yeah.
Oh, you weren't, is talking new?
I think you could.
Like for you though?
Not
talking in videos?
Not anymore. But for the first maybe 6 months I had TikTok, I wouldn't talk in the TikToks. But I remember the first time I did a talking skit. Oh my gosh, it took me so long, because I was like, oh no, I don't like my tone in that. Ugh. And just doing it over and over until I felt comfortable with it. But now I've been doing TikTok and now Reels for, I think, 4 years now.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So do you, at this point, do you like, so it's a thing, it's part of your regimen, like it's part of your day, like your work day now, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
So how did it go from something you're like exploring to something you're still exploring, but now sort of have to feed because now there's something there to continue to feed? Do you like write bits and then bulk shoot it?
I've tried a lot of different approaches, because now this is what I do full time.
Holy shit, for real?
Yeah.
TikToking and
Reels
like and Reels and like all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, can I show you something?
Sure. Oh, nice.
Sponsor
Walkster.
me anytime, baby.
There you go. Yes.
Anytime. I don't have followers but I will, so sponsor me. Yeah, so like you're full time being you, basically.
It's a dream. I love it. I can't complain. It's couldn't see it coming either.
Literally amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so so from that point to now, what was that transition? Like, I imagine at one point you were like, time to quit my job. Is this what I'm doing now? Is this what I want to do? Like, am I a comedian now? Like, I'm a comedian. Like, what was that from then to now you're doing this full time?
Yeah, so I was kind of just pushed into it a little bit, because when I first started, I didn't have influencer on my mind at all. It was just a new app, and this is fun, but yeah, this was right before 2020 and COVID hit. And so I guess a little bit before that, when COVID really started to become a thing, the company I was working for, they just shut down entirely.
Oh, wow.
And so everyone was laid off. At the time, I thought, all right, how hard will it be to get another job? So I just took the severance money and went to Hawaii. And I was like, I'll get a new job when I come back. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And went to Hawaii, had a lot of fun, made a lot of TikToks. And
you went by yourself?
Yeah.
With any goal in mind? Or like, was it just a vacation or like a creative retreat outlook kind of a thing? Or you just were like, I just want to go to Hawaii?
Yeah, just a vacation to do before having to go through the whole process of applying to new jobs again and that whole thing. But when I got back, I was really struggling to get hired somewhere because everything was shutting down and people were, so I'm like, oh, this is weird. So I started to, fortunately around that time, brands had just started to reach out to me.
Okay.
I remember the first person who reached out to me to do something. I was so confused. I was
what
like,
did
wait,
they say?
someone wants to pay me to make a 10-second video.
Mm-hmm.
What? And they asked me, well, what would be your rate for something like this? And I'm like, I'm just amazed that they want to pay me anything. So I threw out a number that I thought was just ridiculous. I was like, $100.
No way. That's what you said?
That's what I said. And she, no hesitation, done.
Of course.
And
You
so
could have probably said, looking back, what could you have said?
I forget where I was at following wise and engagement wise at the time, but
knowing nothing,
significantly more than that.
Knowing nothing about this topic, I will confidently say you could have said $1,000.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
I don't know anything. But I feel like $100,
yeah, but
wow, that's amazing.
I literally.
But it felt amazing.
It did. I knew nothing about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like $100. And then after that, Bumble reached out to me. I'm like,
no
Bumble?
Shit. Amazing.
And I worked with them a couple of times. And so these things kept popping in my inbox. And so I was like, all right, well, this is interesting. What could I get away with?
Right. So because they're reaching out asking like, hey, can you make us XYZ amount of, to break the fourth wall and tell people who might just be consumers of this to how it actually works. These companies will reach out, and I'm not as familiar, but I would imagine what they make a request as to incorporating them into what you do,
right,
in a creative way to advertise it to people without telling them they're being advertised. Or is that because they're consuming all the funny stuff you're making, and if you're making bits about Bumble, that's kind of the idea of these partnerships.
Yeah. So yeah, Bumble was, it was still a comedic skit I was doing, but I was, there's a lot of comedy you can work with dating apps.
Okay. Can we do one?
Sure.
Okay. I'm so bad at it. Okay, I want to be really good at I want to be good at this. Okay.
At improv. Okay.
So Bumble reaches out. Also, this reminds me of my first cover gig ever. I was like, I'll do it for $15 an hour. And I would lug my PA system and play at a wine bar for 4 hours. And I was like, they don't even know they're getting ripped off. I thought that I was getting paid, I was getting paid $60 for a 4-hour gig. It's crazy. But yeah, so I get that. You're just blown away that anyone wants to give you any $1 for something that's coming out of your brain. Okay. Bumble reaches out.
Okay.
What does the request say? We want people to know about what could Bumble be advertising? Our new Valentine's Day membership special? What does that
Absolutely.
mean?
Let's do it.
Okay. We need a skit. The skit needs to be, what do they say? Do they give you, I know how it works for songwriting for briefs, but how would that work? What does a brief like that look like?
Yeah, so this was several years ago, so I won't remember it totally, but I know that they were advertising a specific, Bumble has many different features, and they wanted me to specifically focus on the dating mode. And
what other feature would there be?
Well, they have friends, Bumble Friends,
oh,
networking, that kind of thing.
Oh, it's not just dating.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so they wanted me to focus on that. And they give you, honestly, quite a bit of creative freedom with a few guidelines, don't get too political, don't get too, controversial or cursing. Yeah, keep it somewhat PG to a certain extent. I'm done. So
okay, so they give you this.
Yeah.
I'm literally I can't think of anything. I'm like, what would I do funny?
Yeah.
To talk about the Bumble features.
Well, normally they'll
How do you
say
approach that?
like brands will reach out to me and they know I'm in comedy.
Right.
And so they'll say like, in your own voice,
I want to do this. Okay,
communicate this message. So they give you
Okay.
creative freedom.
How do you begin to map out that skit? Like write it. Like where does your idea? Where does your brain? How does your brain begin to collect an idea?
I just start thinking of all the funny things about a dating app.
Okay,
And-
so you start with like what you know about the app.
Right. And then
Okay.
potentially how that might relate to the queer community. So
Okay.
I honestly don't fully remember what I did for their skits. It was just like one of the first deals I did. But like right now in this moment,
Yeah.
one thing I'm thinking of is with the queer community being significantly smaller, just someone sitting there having to like increase their radius. It just keeps having to go, until they find someone in like Antarctica.
Right.
Like she's the one.
But like, okay, so I get that. Like that's funny, but then on like a technical level, like I understand that in a storytelling format, we're bantering about it, we're talking about it,
Right.
it's funny. But when it actually comes to like, if you asked me, someone who's not like, I'm not a TikToker. Maybe I'm good at podcasting and talking,
Yeah.
but like, and I'd like to think I'm good at bits at like a dinner party when it's in the flow, but on demand through a phone. So practically, how does that look? Like how do you know where to put your phone? Like, what do you film?
What do
Like I
film?
literally wouldn't
Just
know
my
how
face.
to. How do you film? Like, do you film? Like, do you get another camera and then you have to plan your shots?
Yeah,
Like, how do you get the story across?
Yeah, I don't get. I have a very simple setup. I've got like a cheap little Amazon Basics tripod that holds my phone, and I have it switched around so I can see myself
Okay.
in the frame. And honestly, it's a super simple thing. I just set it up, and if I can see myself, I just start rolling.
So you'll be like, pretend this is like the thing.
Okay.
She's like, do you put music in the background or something?
Sometimes.
What would you drop in music? Do you edit ahead of time
Um,
and drop it in?
It depends on what it is. Like for some skits, if the music is the dominant thing, like there's not a lot of talking, I'll definitely plan the skit around the beat of the song.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
So like like the transition changes on the beat, or like even just little movements. Like if I'm pointing and the beat drops,
So you'd be like, Antarctica? Like
yeah.
Like how would that? And then you show the screen. Like you film your screen. Like how does the viewer know? Or you just talk about what you're seeing? Like how do you film that to be funny?
Well, for something like as simple as that, where that could be illustrated pretty quick, I guess it could be a longer skit too. I would then go to TikTok.
So involved.
What's that?
I'm just thinking about like my TikToks would be so involved. Like it's like I don't know how to do it well. Okay, go on. I'm just masterclass with you.
Masterclass TikTok. Yeah, so for something like that, I would look at a bunch of TikTok sounds. So I go through TikTok and just save all these sounds. I got
Like funny
hundreds of
sounds
sounds.
or like trending sounds.
Trending
things like
sounds with good like transition beats and things like that. And I would just in my head think, all right, about like which sound seems to hit the tone I'm going for, seems to have enough beats that would make sense for the scenes. If that makes sense, beat to beat to beat. And so
I'm just thinking about the toothpaste skit.
the toothpaste skit.
It's so funny, dude. Like it's so funny. It's so funny. It's like so dry.
Mm-hmm.
I hate to interrupt. This is my ADD brain, but it's literally like just popping in my head.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't get a lot of the queer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like because I wasn't in the culture so much before I'm married to the first woman. I would, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I get it. I know about all that stuff, but it's like, I don't really, like, I relate to the toothpaste.
The
so
toothpaste.
much. I like cling to that so much. It was such a good skit. Okay. gone.
Yeah.
It's not involved setup. You just kind of,
Yeah.
yeah.
I just kind of roll with it.
Man,
Yeah.
you're so good at it.
Well, because that's I kind of somewhat intentionally don't advance the production side of things. Some people do that and it looks great. And my whole thing is I try to be relatable. And sometimes the more you produce something, the more you're kind of creating that distance between you and the viewer of like, oh, this is like a movie.
Yeah, it's like a
and
whole
I'm watching
ass
you on a
production.
movie. Whereas like, and that there's a place for that for sure. I enjoy content like that. But on my page, the intentionality is I want people to feel like they could just be on a FaceTime with me, you know, or it's like a video I sent a friend. Or
you're definitely getting like capturing that vibe for sure. It comes across.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've seen the other ones. It's like it's try hard, which kind of goes against like that's such a gross term, but I feel like that's the antithesis of what like TikTok is. That it is kind of this like it's as if your friend sent you a video, which is why I think the people who like kill it on there because they're so good at capturing like. I'm addicted to my TikTok. Do you want to do like stand up?
I was just talking about this with someone. I took a stand up class.
Oh, okay. Speak on it.
It was fun. I enjoyed it. But there's something about it that just kind of like stops me from pursuing that. I think it's something about getting on a stage with people. It's like so much pressure to make someone laugh in the moment.
Yeah.
There's so much less pressure if there's more distance when I can just post it and then go eat a sandwich and come back and see, 30 minutes later, did anyone like this? Did anyone laugh?
That's an interesting feeling around it. 'Cause I would wonder if it would be easier to have like an external like source helping to feed anything funny, like something to push up against, but it's almost like you like having to having the ability to not control but like
a little more distance, I guess.
The distance.
Yeah. And I also took an improv for almost a year. Improv classes.
You did it here in Nashville?
Yeah.
Cool. Where'd you go?
The Third Coast Comedy Club.
Cool.
Super fun. Loved it.
Oh, I can see. I've been to those shows. Those are so fun.
Yeah, it's a good little community over there. But I had already been doing comedy on TikTok for 3 years when I started those classes, but it was hard. Improv was hard. I was like, oh my gosh.
It's a different vibe.
Totally different. Because it's like, I'm so used to taking my time with things and be like, all right, today we're going to make a skit about cranberries. What are we going to do? I can sit and got my space and I can brainstorm. But with improv, it's like writing. Cranberries, go.
Yeah, it's like a totally different like muscle.
Yeah.
Would you want to like do like writing for like SNL kind of a thing? Like writing stuff? Or you want to continue writing for yourself and like making
that would probably appeal more if you got like a little bit of, if I can just scribble on a pad, I could do that for sure.
Like if someone gave you a brief and they're like, okay, we have like 48 hours and then it's showtime and then we're gonna be filming it. And
oh, for sure.
Like, yeah, because this kind of like a you're doing a micro version of it almost with a one-person show.
Yeah.
Which is you, and it's still like, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, it's one thing that kind of haunts me is I'm not sure exactly what my creative process is, in the sense of it's not the same thing every time.
I feel that.
Yeah.
That resonates with me too.
To where, it's difficult sometimes. Sometimes it works, but to sit down and be like, all right, now I'm going to be creative. I'm going to put it on the calendar.
Do you?
Tuesday at 4, I'll be creative. I've tried that method, and because I'm like, that's more professional.
Yeah.
And I've tried that, but it doesn't work.
So what does a typical day look like for you? Is it? I'm assuming it's like different day to day through the week, but do you have like routine?
Yeah, I mean, I do like my routines. I do find that I am typically more creative in the afternoons.
Afternoons are the best.
Yeah. So like the mornings is usually like when I'll do technical things like emails and
The mornings?
the mornings. Yeah, the more like mindless things. And then the afternoons is when I'll, get into creative work. And sometimes it's a situation where I'm like, all right, I got to just come up with something.
Yeah.
Other times I in my phone, it's a mess in my notes because like as I'm going through life, I'm just like toothpaste.
You're just like,
just like little
collecting.
ideas you collect.
Yeah.
I found that one of the best ways for me to source ideas is to just collect them as you go.
Yeah.
Because I feel like those are the most relatable pieces of content when you experience something and then like in that moment you're writing it down.
Because it's like art imitates life. It is.
Yeah. There's like not
life.
A separation. They're very much connected.
Yeah.
So I've been doing that more these days, and there's been much more flow with creation. Whereas before I would try to create all this structure with it, and you can power through and crank things out, but it definitely made me a little anxious when those afternoons would creep up, because I'd be like, oh no,
Pressure's on.
Oh no,
You gotta be funny.
I'm like, because it's like I'm at the end of the day, like I'm just a human, like I'm not a content factory,
Yeah.
So it's like, all right,
Funny people have feelings too.
we have feelings, so it's definitely been, and I'm still like learning how to just meet me where I'm at and work with whatever my process is, and not try to force one on me, and so I feel like within the last couple of months I've been really starting to enjoy creating comedy again, because I feel like in the beginning I enjoyed it, like loved it, and then there was about a year there where it kind of ebbed and flowed between enjoying it and then feeling like, oh my gosh, this is a lot of pressure.
Why do you think that happened? Was it because were you going really hard, like you were going like hard in the paint, like you were balls to the wall and you got burned out?
I think it was when it really fully internalized that this is what I do full time. And so it was the association of this being my career.
There's what to lose.
Yeah.
It
was like there's just so much more on it. And whereas before I'm like, this is just fun and I make some money sometimes, but whatever. And but then like once it became what I did, it was exciting, but it was also a bit scary, because I'm like, oh snap, what if I mess up? What if it goes away? What if, like, all these what ifs start?
What if?
Yeah. But yeah, I've been, working through that, and within the last couple of months, I've just been like, you know what? Just get back to what got me in this situation, which is just enjoying it and working with, what's happening around me, and not forcing things into existence, but just more so just observing life and finding the funny versus trying to force the funny into life.
Yes. That totally makes sense. It's like, so how do you because I think that's like every artist's struggle is to like how to, especially the freak out when it's a realization that it's no longer the escape, like it's now the main thing. Like how do you stay in play? Like, how do you stay in your fun, in your discovery, in your, like, whether it's for some people, like, buying a new guitar, or for, like, smoke, you know, some people it's, like, smoking, or having, like, for me, it's, like, having a basketball hoop and having, like, things from my childhood, like, all around me so that I, like, don't forget.
Right.
That I have fucking, like, dishes to wash and stuff, you know? But, like, hacks, like, have you found any ways when you get stuck in that? Because there's weight to that, too, because there's fear behind it, right? And there's, like, oh, this is real. And now there is something to lose, and then there's pressure. Have you figured out a way to, like, access, like, getting into play mode to, like, lighten the burden? Like, you don't smoke pot, but, like, do you go for a run? Do you like, I don't know, watch a funny movie? Like, do you have tricks that you do to, like, do you meditate, things to get you out of that state and get you back to, like, discovery and having fun?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of, within the last couple of months, so that explains it. A lot of new modalities, some of them just kind of reincorporating back. Meditation, breath work, exercise, drinking more water is, like, honestly, like, the most fundamental basic things for health.
And you're doing, like, more of each of those things?
Yeah.
That's more than most people can say.
Yeah, and it's, like, wild, you know, because, you know, it's nothing new, like, drink water, go outside. But when I wasn't doing those things, you don't realize just how much that affects you in a positive way when you start doing them more consistently again. And I found that, like, man, I'm in such a better mood now just from doing these things, these habits, and, you know, just little things like journaling, reading books just for me. And yeah, and also one thing I'll do before, like, actually filming a skit, if I'm still kind of in zombie mode or whatever, is I'll just set up the camera and just do a non-formal version of the skit, if that makes sense.
Like a play one?
Yeah, like a play one where it's literally just anything goes, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. And that's usually when I'll come up with ideas these days.
That's higher chord vocals.
Yeah, like I used to sit down and write out the scripts.
Okay.
But these days, what I'll do is I'll just set up my camera and just do, like, a whole improv thing to myself
and just let it rip.
And
like
just let it roll, one cut, and just and I'll even, like, if I'm poking my head in through the door or something, I'll do that like 10 times with 10 different one-liners and just.
Do you see yourself? Do you put it on, like, facing you mode? So you can see where you're doing. Okay.
Yeah, so
you just improvise on screen?
I'll improvise on screen and just kind of, like, play and see what felt right. And then I kind of have the feel for that skit, and I'll just, like, pick the lines that I thought, you know, felt right. And then I'll make the actual skit off of those ideas.
Can I put you on the spot?
Sure.
Can we make something now?
Sure.
Like right now?
Improv.
And then we'll, like, edit it together so that it'll be like.
Oh, we're gonna.
It'll be like boom, and then it'll go to our skit, and then we'll boom and come back and.
Okay, but we have to do like a
But we need to talk about what it's gonna be.
We need and we'll have to do a anything goes round first.
Okay.
And then
you have to set the bar pretty low, like
anything goes.
I'm again, like, funny, not, you know, I don't know about like my relationship with my phone camera is just, I come off just different on my phone than I do in person for some reason.
Because it's the pressure. You're like, hi, internet.
I'm the kind of person
Hello.
you have to meet in person, which is such a weird thing to think, like, to say. I've thought that about something. I'm like, man, I don't know if that person, whether it's online or something, if they like me or, you know, whatever, we get in our heads about it. I'm like, man, I think, though, if we met in person, like, I think they'd get, like, I think we would connect.
Yeah.
All that to say, set the bar low.
Okay.
Like, what could be funny in this moment? What could be a 10-second skit that we just, like, into?
I mean, we're in a podcast format, so probably like a satire version of a podcast.
Talking about what?
Well, we could do, like, when I think of podcasts that really go viral, it's normally those just really basic people. No offense, where it's like the motivational with the really intense music, and they're saying like, you know what, you just gotta wake up every morning and drink water.
Yeah, like really basic stuff.
Like really basic, but it's like so intense.
And there's like, bless you, Casey. And like it's like Tony Robbins vibes, but like all the people, you know. Hold on, pause this for a second because I have another fucking question.
Okay.
About this whole, because there are people I've seen on that'll pop up on my social media, which I try not to be on as super often, but then you get into vortex for a few days. So when I'm in that vortex, I'll see these people that are like, right, like motivational music or kind of like blogger vlog music. And it's just like kind of cinematic looking, but it's like their iPhone footage. Did these people, do they set up their phone, get in bed? Because I'm like, you're telling me to get up at 4 a.m. Okay, so it'll be like, you know what I mean? It'll be like,
yes.
And then they're like in bed, the thing goes off, and they're in this like beautiful fucking New York City apartment, like the windows open, and then it'll all of a sudden show them like brushing their teeth. And so I just think like there's someone on the other side of it, that person who had to set up like all these parents too, who set up their I'm like, I can barely order food while like my 2-year-old is like breaking my arm. Like, how did you set? Yeah. So like that kind of, there's also that kind of motivational one that pops up in my feed a lot. That's like, and by 5 a.m. I'm like
5 a.m.
running stocks and just like, and then I break to go to the gym, and then you like see them walking down the street. So they had to put their phone down.
Literally the other side of that video is just an atrocious amount of time of like trying to get the video. And sometimes you don't have a tripod. So you're like, where's a rock or something I can balance my phone on? The makeshift tripods I've created are ridiculous. Like when you're just running and gunning it.
It's so intense.
Yes.
To do like the day in the life type influence.
Yeah. And it's like for that one little shot of them just walking in the gym, there's that whole side story of them balancing their phone. And
it's a commitment.
Walk in like no one's...
Yeah.
All those little shots.
That's intense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's be like, if one of those people, you'll be like a motivational person and I'll be like a spiritual teacher, but who's like coming after people for their, I'm like a not well-intentioned spiritual teacher, but nobody knows that.
You're a guru.
And like, if you just buy my program, something like that.
Okay.
And obviously I'll teach you everything I know, but
You're my guru trying to sell me.
Yeah, like sessions with me cost $500 an
hour.
hour. It's like for my wiseness, and we're on a podcast together. Is that a good foundation for a funny moment?
Yeah, I think it would be, if it's like podcast setting, would be like you're the guru, but low key you keep trying to sell the audience.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
For only $4.99.
How do I sell the audience? I have to like I do, like I'm just like side being like.
Yeah, you kind of do a lean, like, my course is only $4.99. Like a callback.
Okay.
So if you pick one pitch, so to speak, and you just keep sliding that one line in over and over. Callbacks are always funny.
Okay. I have to get do you need a moment to get into character, or you can just go?
What character am I again?
You're podcaster.
Oh, I'm the podcast. Oh,
We're both podcasting, and you're like a
are we like
motivational person?
Co-podcast, or one's the guest and
I mean, we're co-podcasters.
So we're both gurus.
Kind of, and like motivational
like,
people.
No, I'm the guru.
You're like, you love ice baths and shit, you know?
Okay. We're both in that world.
Yeah, and like Reiki and things that are actually really good for you that I do. You know, it's just exaggerated. It's very funny.
Okay, I see. Okay, I got it. All right, I got to get into. I need sage. Got my good thing I wore my beads today. You have an advantage. Listen, I got my tea on my side.
So I think the problem facing people today, Haley, is that let me talk to you a little bit about something I have coined. It's called the internal vibrative emotive effect. And what that is and you can learn about this for on my Patreon. It's $20 and a month, and I'll give you the keys to all this. But what that is basically a state of being in which you kind of access your like inner essence through this tincture that I created, and 10 drops, and it is light. You become light. I guess what I'm trying to say is you become light.
Yeah. I too have started to drink that tea, and I actually am becoming afraid that if I keep drinking this tea, it'll just go right through me because I'll just be light.
I can't. How do people do this? It's so funny.
I'm just glad I picked the tea today. This would have been awkward if I wanted beer.
They are light. Do you know that those people, you know?
The light people, or like the breatharians? Have you heard of those people? Where it's like
Robin went to a breathing class the other day. This guru breath dude was in town. Yeah. And she she did. I guess those are the breatharians, the people who went to that thing.
No, like she probably just went to like a breath work class.
Yeah, by this guy who's like kind of an influencer in the breath work space.
Oh, yeah. Well, the breatharians, I think that's what they're called. Don't quote me. But they're like, we don't need food. We just need the sun and the air and maybe some almonds.
Yes, I've heard. yes.
And it's like, all right, you do you.
That is a level of, oh my goodness. That is a level. Where were we? Robin and I were in Colorado, and there's this town there called Crestone. We didn't know this until afterwards, but there was like a terrible murder that happened there. There's a whole podcast about it, kind of like a serial episode about it. But they have more spiritual like houses of worship per square capita than like anywhere else in the world. This random place, and there's like alien encounter, weird stuff that happens there. And so we stopped on a road trip and went into this like temple and just like went in to meditate and be like, we're just gonna engage in this. And like, so we meditated for like 30 minutes, and we're walking around the shop, and it's like all volunteers that live there, and then you'll see like, you know, basically like maybe, I don't know if they were just wayward travelers or what, but like, you know, people who came up to us and they were like, do you guys want to stay for lunch? You're like, who are you? And I was like, down. Yeah. I'm 100% susceptible to like cult behavior. Yeah. Like I could be accidentally influenced. Like I have a tendency to like attach myself to things that feel connected to me, and I'll like create a, you know, it's like I am the prime person that if the argument is right enough, and if the leader is charismatic enough, and if like and I was like, yeah, sure, like we'll stay for lunch. And they're wearing like, they're like white people. They're like us. They're like wearing white robes, and like they're like, we just stopped in what was it, babe? Like a year and a half ago now, and we live here now, and we just, they serve like they were sweeping, and they were like cleaning up leaves and stuff. So that's what they do, and they invited us for lunch to stay with, like, eat with all of the I don't think they were monks over there. I don't know what they were. Which is something that would be neat to do at one point in my life, but this felt a little sus. So it wasn't like it wasn't a it was, I don't know what it was, but it was something sus. And
oh no,
Robin was just like, we're not fucking staying for lunch. Like, they 100% are trying to like get us to stay, and then they're gonna like, and they were like, you guys can you're on a road trip, like you can sleep here, we have housing. It was a whole thing, and they so we didn't stay, but I really wanted to. But that was kind of like it was very like, you are light kind of a vibe there. Yeah, I mean, we did go in to meditate, but yeah, cult behavior of me. Wait, I hope that bit was funny.
So what was lunch? Was it
we didn't go.
Pecans?
No, they do. It was like all vegan. It's probably like, like how cults do. Like,
we're gonna just like, you eat everything with your hands, just fingers.
Yeah.
But it's like not.
Yeah.
It's like curry
kind of vibes.
You don't have napkins.
Like,
you just have your
stuff.
white robe, and you're like,
Yep. And like everybody smells like incense, which is fine. It smells like incense in here. But it was just a little bit, they were just a little bit too close to like, we stopped in one time and we've been here for a year and a half, and like they're like sweeping and like working in the hot sun. They're like, we only work here 10 hours a day and we get to live here for free. And we're like, what?
No. They're like,
Robin's
don't
like,
leave.
In the fucking car.
They were trying to get you to stay.
They were trying to get us to stay. I mean, they were a young
if
couple.
If Robin weren't there, you would still be there sweeping. You'd be sweeping, talking to people on the street. You'd be like, come, welcome, have lunch with us, have a broom, have a bed, have a place to never leave.
Never leave.
Just stay here. Only $4.99.
I could see for only $10.99.
$10.99. It's for free plus.
Can you imagine if you were like influencing from like, you go to like a silent retreat or whatever, and you're fucking like influencing from the silent retreat? It's like ridiculous. That's what absurd. I'm scared of. That's honestly like kind of like what I'm scared of a little bit, when it's like, what you're doing I appreciate, because you create things for it. You're not like, you don't seem to like reveal your whole life, but when it comes to, do you have any thoughts on this subject? Is this a thing, like in the community of people who are, creating content online, of like, like how much of your own real estate are you willing to let go of? That's something I had to ask myself about this podcast.
Yeah.
Because being on tour, playing shows or whatever, that's like one thing, but like, it's like, how, like, is that something you have to think about too? Like, how much of my life's real estate am I going to give to the internet?
Right. No, yeah, that's something that I've thought a lot about. And I think all the other creators I've had this conversation with, like, I think it's a very common thing to think about. And everyone has their own POV on it. How I think of it is, I'm a fairly open person. I don't really have like secrets. Like, there's personal things, of course, but as far as what I post on the regular, I definitely have some boundaries. I think of my page mainly as comedy, but I'll share some more in stories and whatnot. I feel like my boundary is more so if I'm in my real life, I want to be in my real life. And so I put my phone away. I put it on silent. I try not to be too consumed in those moments. If I'm with a friend or with family, I'm like, this doesn't need to be on social.
Yeah.
And I do share some things like when I'm out with friends, but I'm really fast at like taking like little snippets and things. So it'll be like, whatcha, and then
moment, and you put your phone away.
I don't post in the moment. Like if I do document it, I'll save it and then post it later. Because I don't want to be sitting across the table from someone and being like, what caption should I do for our thing? You know?
What are we feeling right now? But like witty.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I get that. That's a really good way to decipher, because then you create you don't get sucked in as if it is real.
Right.
There's like a clear law to be like, let's not get too chaotic about this. Like, this isn't, let's not pretend that this is actually like brings, that this is actually like a, like has an emotional effect on, or, you know, like a source of happiness of your life. You know what I mean? Like for your personal fulfillment to be in that world and not for that to be infiltrated.
Yeah.
And then to bring your skill sets and whatever you're willing to share, I guess, to the internet. Do you share significant others on the internet?
I definitely would if I was in that situation, but only if I was properly in a relationship.
Right.
I don't share like, you know, early stuff. Like if I'm on a first date, I'm on a second date, hey, you know, because I don't want it to look like I'm just moving through people.
Yeah.
Not that
is that how it would look?
Not that I'm doing that.
Is that how it would look if you were?
She's with a different woman every weekend. What is with this woman?
Do you Bumble?
Well, you know, currently I am talking to someone, but it's early, so yeah.
So you're not bumbling right
I'm not bumbling.
Or Raya-ing.
Not bumbling.
Do you Raya?
Raya?
I don't know. Look, I've never been on a dating app. I just like I've heard of these things.
I was
Raya's
on a
for it's for like entertainers and like influencers, musicians. And
okay. Interesting.
You have to get invited by someone in Raya to. It's like,
well, I've not.
I don't
know.
Invited. That's what I've heard.
Okay.
So I thought maybe I don't know. But that's exciting. Congratulations. Yeah. It's always fun, like a new talking to like.
But what's
beginnings.
Funny is like that is something that comes up in my brain of you know, because we've, you know, been talking for maybe like a month, you know, not quite official or anything, but
so you said I love you.
Yeah, totally third date.
Really?
No. Dear God,
like, that's like amazing.
But that is something that comes up in my head of like, man, okay, that would be because I've actually never been in a relationship with someone while doing the influencer stuff. And so from my perspective, I'm not sure their comfort level with how much I post because everyone's so different.
Yeah.
With, you know, because it goes beyond just me sharing it and like some of my friends and family sees it.
Yeah.
It's like potentially a lot of people could see this.
Yeah.
Are you cool with that? You know, kind of thing. And from my perspective, I'm someone that would want it to be known I was in a relationship just so that was out there. But I wouldn't want to share too much either, just out of respect for the relationship. Like you said, like I wouldn't want social media to just completely take over. Like I would never want to be like a couple TikToker, where our whole thing is couple bits or because that
your relationship is like revolving. I mean, you know what it takes to make videos, so it's like, do you want to keep your sacred
Yeah.
Unless that's the basis of your connection, which I'm sure there are people online who that is sort of that maybe that is where their relationship thrives. But
yeah. And like I would be down to do that if it was just right there and available. Like we were both in the mood and like, eh, that's funny. Let's do this thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to depend on that structure because it's really difficult to get two people. You know, I would never want to like come home and be like, all right, we got TikTok, and then have her be like,
yeah,
and then have us like have that tension and then smile on the camera. That's I never want that dynamic of
and then
bickering and then smiling. We're so in love.
Do people do that?
It's
like
I feel
like online people who are big online, who are in couples, where they're just like full of.
Yeah, I mean,
they have to continue the sort of the train.
The people, it's pretty common, but I think you make yourself very vulnerable to that when you're, like I said, when that is like your whole account, like your whole image is, you know, the ideal couple or whatever it is. That puts a lot of pressure on two people. And
totally.
So I'm like, okay, maybe like one a month if it's like natural and organic. But to me, it's like social media would never take priority over nurturing. Well, I would want to nurture both, but that's exactly it.
One
I'd
is
want
like
to
your
nurture
job,
both.
you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like to a certain extent, I do, but I would never want one to completely consume the other, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Like there's got to be a separation and like a time for that and a time for this. So
a time to
a do you know that song? For everybody.
A time to. We have mutual. I feel like we have a couple of mutual people. I just thought about, who are also, like do online things. Do you know Stephanie Frosch?
Yeah.
How do you guys?
Yeah,
know each other?
Steph. Well, I was already familiar with her because she's been doing this for ever, right?
I think since like we went to the same university, but we also grew up in this and went to the same school, like middle school, elementary school, all that stuff. So I think, a long time. I feel like since college.
Yeah,
probably.
like it's so funny because I think she was one of the first queer influencers I was aware of, like when I was 16 or something. And yeah, like her content was very helpful for me at that time when I was still figuring things out.
Wow, really?
Like,
that's so cool.
When I think of my first exposure to internet, you know, gay people, like Steph comes to mind for sure. And then I didn't really keep up with her content for a few years. But then once I got into TikTok and Instagram and all of that, she reached out to me and said, "Oh, you're so funny." I'm like, Steph thinks I'm funny? Like, what is this?
That's so funny. Small world. And like, you know, all the worlds collide.
Yeah. So we kind of connected in that way. And I visited New York. And when I was up there, we were able to meet. And we went to Cubbyhole.
What's Cubbyhole?
It's like the famous lesbian bar up there.
I should know that.
It was honestly, it just looked like a bar. Like, it's Cubbyhole.
I'll go next time.
Go to Cubbyhole. Yeah, but I remember her telling me that she knew you.
Yeah, I think I saw on Instagram that you guys were together, and I was like, what? How do they know each other? It's so funny. Like, Steph and I literally, like, went to, like, Jewish day school together. Mm-hmm. And coincidentally, like, the same university. And then I was like, oh, this makes sense because she is a YouTuber and you were starting to do, so I was like, oh, this is cool. Are they dating? because I'm not like in.
Yeah.
I'm on like the periphery. I'm on the like because I'm not in the I feel like an outsider who gets to like learn about what it's all about. But I feel like there's a lot of similarities of, it's like songwriters getting together to like write and like to it's the same as like two people who make content getting together to like jam on an idea and make something and stuff. So it's cool that seeing that like the community ends up like finding each other and you guys all end up like doing things, especially in like the queer space of that. So when you found her stuff, was that an era where you were questioning your sexuality?
Yeah, that was my
looking for information.
That was my closeted era.
Whoa.
When I was 16, I think that's when I first started to consult Google.
Okay. On the family.
No, I had my own computer at this time, thank God. Yeah, but no, I had my official gay awakening was while watching Phantom of the Opera.
Oh, okay.
Christine. Yeah.
I've never seen Phantom.
That song, Past the Point of No Return.
Okay.
You
were like, ooh, I feel funny.
And I was like, I feel attracted to this woman. What is up with that?
That was your first, like, how old were you?
16.
And then that's when you started
literally
Googling?
The second that film was over, I went to my room. Because I actually didn't have a lot of terminology.
I went to my room and I
yeah, to hide. Yeah, seriously. But I was so sheltered. I grew up Mormon, and my parents, they never even talked about the queer community, like good or bad.
Well, let alone, I would imagine, was sex a part of the conversation at all? Heterosexual or otherwise?
No,
probably wasn't even.
Very, very sheltered.
Yeah.
So. I clocked that I was attracted to this woman, but I didn't have terminology for that. So I went to Google. I was like, woman being attracted to another woman.
Okay.
And then I was like, lesbian. But then
what did you feel when you saw that? Did you feel anything? Were you like, was there a relief? Was there a freak out? Was there a what was the, if you can remember, like the emotion?
Initially kind of a freak out because I was semi-familiar with the word lesbian, but it was a dirty word. And it was like, I associated that with like porn or like ultra butch. And I didn't identify with either of those. And so I kind of...
How are you familiar with those?
I think it was just... I don't know, honestly. It was just, I actually didn't know much about it.
Culturally? Yeah. When I think back about it, though, too, it is kind of this, like, lesbian. Yeah.
Like, So I disqualified myself. I was like, well, I'm not a porn star. And I'm not, like, ultra butch. So I kind of freaked out a little bit. I was like, okay, what's wrong with me? Mm-hmm. But then...
because the implications for that at that time for you were probably kind of major, right? It would mean what? Were you even like future casting about like what does this mean?
No, not really. I was mainly I really was convinced that okay, I'm 16. I didn't think I could be gay. Because I was like, well, I'm Mormon and I grew up in the suburbs, and I really didn't understand the concept of what being gay was. So, okay. Truly was so sheltered. So I was aware of those feelings, but because I disqualified myself, I was like, all right, I'm only 16, right? Maybe I just haven't met the right person.
You're a baby 16.
I was like, I just haven't met the right person.
Did you have any boyfriends at the time? No. Little boyfriends growing up, things like that?
No, I never dated in high school anyone, and just didn't have much interest in it. But I was still hopeful. I was like, one day I'll find someone attractive.
Did you like boys at any point in time?
No.
From afar even?
No. like, I mean, I liked them as people. I had a lot of like
But
guy
you weren't feeling
buddies, you know, like, hey,
the way you felt when you saw like Phantom of the Opera, like wasn't the same thing. Like when you saw like your neighbor Dylan like jumping into the pool,
no,
you weren't getting like tinglies.
I did go through a phase where I would make up crushes so I could relate to my peers.
Okay.
They'd be like, because that would be, because, you know, you're there with your like girl huddle. And
yeah, that's
they'd be
so
like, I
sad.
like Greg. Well, I like Steven. And then look at me. I like Thomas. What do you like about him? He's got kind eyes.
His elbows are
His
awesome.
elbows. Don't even get me started about his chin. It's like
Don't you even fucking get me started on his chin.
his chin.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So you were just to fit in.
To fit in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so then when were you like, okay, I can't rule myself out anymore.
Yeah, I would say, well, in a way, it was kind of fortunate. My mom actually kind of just called me out on it. She sat me down very serious, like,
Wow.
and she was like, Haley, I know you're gay. I'm like, what?
No way. That directly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, to be fair, I had just started to experiment just chatting with women, not like going on dates
Okay.
because that was too scary, but like just chatting, but like obviously flirting. And she had seen some of these messages, so she had some confirmation.
How did she see these messages?
I honestly, I think my sister
Like
was
something-
like snooping.
Oh,
Yeah, it was like a
that.
sibling thing. We were
Oh,
young,
man.
but it then freaked out and showed my mom. So, yeah, so she called me in. We had that conversation. I was like never planning on ever coming out ever. And so I panicked and I'm like, I'm bi. Like, I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, cool. And I was very much like, once I turned 18, I'm like, all right, I will like dudes.
Oh, you thought there would be some sort of change?
Yes, because I had never dated.
Oh, and 18 symbolized now I can start dating.
Now I can get
because
out there.
My parents no longer dictate what I can and can't do, and now that I'm going to get out there, I'm going to try men.
Well, I could have dated before. It's just I think at 18, I just within my own self was like, I need to figure this out, you know.
Got it. So you were just
And
ready.
I was ready.
It was time.
Yeah, but I remember not wanting to be gay. I just thought that was scary and like too much to navigate and
Yeah.
not the preference. So I got on like the dating apps and all these things, and I'm like, I'm just gonna just start dating dudes. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna get in there, and it'll be great. It'll be fine, right? And went out with a few guys. I mean, they were nice.
How'd it go? Yeah.
They had fine elbows.
Right.
Their chins, very adequate.
You weren't feeling, were you ever mentally stimulated? It was just nothing.
No,
Nothing
I mean,
clicked.
It felt like I was hanging with my brothers.
Like a.
That's not the vibe you want.
Yeah.
You know?
You're like, this is like, you did not want them to be intimate with you. And you did not want to be intimate with them or connect in that way. Mentally, spiritually, physically. You just knew.
No, I mean, I didn't really desire them in that way, but I did kind of make that happen. Like, I initiated that because I was like, I need to know what that's like.
Whoa, yeah.
Like, I wasn't even like curious, like, I really want to know. It was mainly like, if this is tolerable, maybe I can just make it a thing, you know? But then I was like, you know what? I don't want my dating existence to feel this way. So I was like, all right, maybe I'll just try going out with a woman. I'll just do it. I almost had a panic attack.
Your first date with a woman?
Yes, with a first date with a woman.
Where was it? Do you remember?
Here in Nashville. And
where'd you guys go?
So dumb. I was 18. I went to her house. First date. I would never do that now. It was a lot.
That's a lot.
But
was she older?
We were the same age. At the time, I still looked... I looked pretty femme at the time. And... but she looked really gay and cool and artsy. And she looked like... She appeared more secure in her sexuality. I don't know if that was true or not, but...
from where you were sitting, she was full on in the scene.
In the scene.
Yeah.
And I'm just like walking up to her door, like on the verge of a panic attack. Like, oh my gosh.
What was the plan? Come over and watch a movie? What was the intended plan?
I think just hang out and watch a movie. Yeah, we weren't gonna like get it on the first date. We were just 18. Yeah. Come over, hang out, drink a beer.
Let's chill.
Hang out. Yeah.
Did anything ever happen? You went on more dates or no?
We did. She was my first girlfriend.
She ended up becoming your first girlfriend. For how long?
For 6 months. And it was like typical like queer woman fashion. Third date. She was like, will you be my girlfriend? I was like, okay. No further discussion. Like, all right, we're girlfriends now.
Wow.
Yeah. But that
is a thing I've learned.
Yes, that changed everything because I went from trying to force things with dudes to literally first date with a woman. It all just clicked. I was like, oh, this is what it feels like to have butterflies. This is what it feels like.
That's so fun.
It brought out my soft side, and it made me enjoy dating and enjoy all of that. So
yeah.
it just confirmed in my own being oh, okay, this is it. This makes sense.
Did you eventually tell your mom you were right?
That I'm a raging homosexual?
Yeah.
I did.
And she was like, I fucking told you.
She was like, that was exactly it. She was like, yeah, I kind of figured.
How are the rest of your family? Is your sexuality, because are they still in the Mormon practice? Is that the right term? The Mormon faith?
Mormon, yeah. No, we've all left. My brother in New Zealand is somewhat Mormon, I guess. He kind of goes sometimes to church.
I have an announcement, but it's kind of embarrassing. I have to check my tampon.
Oh, yeah, you got to do that. You got to...
Because when you're am I accidentally...
That's true. I mean, this is almost red.
I will be right back. This is an emergency. I wouldn't do this.
This is an emergency. It's 911.
No, but potentially.
Oh, man.
1 hour later.
Okay.
On beat.
Has it ever happened to you?
Oh, yeah.
It usually happens during laughter, and you're like, God damn it! You're like an actual blood clot just came out of my fucking body, and how do I handle this right now? What's my move?
You've got 2 cameras on you,
and you're just there are things happening that nobody knows about right now.
The deepest point of the podcast too. You're trying to listen. You're but all you can think about is blood clot.
You're this fucking chair is ruined.
They're
oh my gosh. They're not taking this back. No, it's fine. But that is a perk of dating a woman. We've you can just text each other be right there. It's a bloodbath. See you soon.
The understanding is amazing. See you soon.
And there's just no questioning.
Yeah.
No,
you're oh, yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Organic Tampax. Tampax. Sponsors. Also, Woxer, that pair is absolutely fucking trash. So
yeah, you're gonna need to.
I have so many. I exclusively wear them. If I'm being honest, I'm not just. And I have on. Do you wear Tomboy?
Tomboy X. No, that's like a sin when you work with Woxer.
For real?
Yeah.
Oh, are they totally competing?
The fact that you wear them, how are your chakras doing when you wear?
Honestly, they're fucked up. My therapist told me my root chakra is messed up. Do you think it's because I'm mismatched? I have Tomboy X and Woxer on the bottom.
Because you have two biggest competitors battling it out on your body daily.
Woxer doesn't have, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't have things that like, it's not a binder, but it's not like a sport. It's just like playing guitar. My boobs get in my way. I don't love them.
Yeah.
And Tomboy X has one that like really gets it nice and secured.
Right.
And I feel like Woxer is not that material. It's like a softer, right? They don't.
Mm-hmm. Are you talking about like, did they have a padding or it's just like straps it in more?
Like Woxer is just like cotton material.
Right.
Right?
Yeah, kind of like the Calvin Klein, like the just the fabric.
Yeah, it's not like this where it's like tight and like this material.
Oh, yeah, that's sturdy. Yeah.
This episode is sponsored by Tomboy X.
Ooh.
Tomboy X.
I feel dirty
Send me
just
some shit.
being here.
This episode is sponsored by whoever sends me something first. I am not picky.
$100.
It's actually a really good ending. We will do it for $100. Honestly, what's your rate now? Okay, you don't have to say it. We'll bleep it, but can you tell me your rate now?
My rate?
Like,
I
what's
honestly
your rate
don't know.
Okay, let's say like pick like a brand that probably has a good budget, but like as if I know. I don't know. What are brands?
It totally depends on like
Urban Outfitters.
how like what they want, like because some
Wild
brands they're like, we just want a reel, or we want 3 reels, or
I'm Wild Fang. I want 3 reels.
you want 3
What's it gonna cost?
reels? How many story frames? What's your
fuck does that
usage
mean?
rights?
What is story frame? What's it? How many
Do you want
story
a link in
frames?
bio?
Yeah.
Do you want exclusivity?
I need a link in bio. I want exclusivity
usage rights
for 6 months.
Okay.
We're the only ones allowed to use it. See, I know this kind of stuff because I license my music.
Okay.
So I know kind of, but I don't know what story. What?
Well,
Frame?
basically, like how many stories, or if you want stories.
Honestly, like one a day for 5 days.
Daily.
Is that too much to ask? I mean,
That's a lot. Is
it a lot?
That is a lot. Once a day for 5 days, 3 reels. Give me all
3
the
reels and 1
exclusivity.
story post. 6 months exclusivity.
Do you also want it on TikTok?
I want it on all things. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would have to price it out, but for 3,
We'll bleep it.
for 3, I mean, that would be
What's several? Like per video. Do you charge per video? You should.
well, yeah. I mean, yes and no.
Yeah, if I'm your agent. That's what I would say.
I feel like that's kind of like the starting point, though, because then it's like, do they want stories?
Oh, is that too low?
Do they want usage rights?
So you'd be like,
It honestly so depends. We'll bleep this, but
we're going to bleep it all.
you know, and honestly, like talking to some of my friends who are in industry, it's so broad in what people get.
Yeah, that's how it is with licensing too.
Yeah, like the highest one I've done was with Nautica, and that
Nice.
for, I think, a reel, a TikTok, and like some images that I sent them and I didn't have to post. But then I've done one for like similar deliverables. Woxer is a little bit lower because I've worked with them so consistently over time. So
And they're like a smaller company. I feel
they're
like, too,
smaller.
right? Yeah.
And so for them it's 15. But they've been so great because
It's like
I've done
consistent.
so many with them.
That's how I feel about MTV licenses. Like for music, they're like the lowest, but they're so consistent as opposed to like a one-off, blah, 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 5-figure thing. But like, yeah, it's kind of similar. You're just like, you're licensing your likeness pretty much and your ideas out for.
Yeah. And pricing is just like such a, it's kind of like the Wild West trying to be an influencer. Because like, what do I price it at? I don't know.
Right. I guess you have to consider like the size of the brand.
Sizes. Sometimes like, it's so weird. It's honestly like a weird industry to be in sometimes.
I want a custom suit. What approach should I take?
You want a custom suit?
Should I just buy it? I have nothing of value to like influence. Like,
well, that's another thing too. Like,
do you ever hit up companies if you want something?
That's actually how I started working with Woxer. Well, initially they had messaged me. They're like, "We'll send you free Woxer in exchange for a reel," but I was like, no.
I could just buy like $25
I know. I was like,
underwear.
no, I'm good. But at the time, I really enjoyed my trip to Hawaii the first time. So I was like, I really want to go again. And and so I was like, what if I just asked a brand to send me to Hawaii in exchange for content? And I didn't know if it would work, but I put together like a little pitch deck. And because they had already messaged me, I said, oh, thanks for reaching out, blah, 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 blah. And I gave them like a brief and Zoom call link.
Nice.
And so I got
came ready.
I was ready. I got them on
a
Zoom, took them through the pitch deck, and went over the deliverables, the premise, and I really just asked for all of trip costs to be covered. And she was like, yeah, done. Like, you're kidding me.
And that's how you ended up going back the same
time?
What?
So I went back to Hawaii with a suitcase full of Woxer running around. And then from that, they really liked the content. They're like, would you like to partner with us long term? And I was like, yeah. I think we signed like a 8-month contract. And then after that, we just kind of kept working together.
Nice.
So for them,
what you're saying is that they'll send us to Hawaii to podcast?
Send us to Hawaii and a whole bunch of Woxer.
Seriously, mine just got trashed and I mentioned
we need it.
That's so fucking cool. That's very resourceful of you to finagle and keep moving with your growth and with and working with people that you can like grow together, and that's amazing.
Yeah, but that's one thing that you can do is like a barter thing, but obviously it's a bigger ticket thing, so it's not. Even to this day, I'll still get emails from these like dinky companies that you've never heard of before. They're like, it's like kind of broken English, and they're like, hey, would you make 10 TikToks in exchange for this free phone case? It's worth $25.99. We'll also throw in a free warranty. I'm like,
that's where I'm at.
Like,
I'm
what?
getting like those kinds of offers. Like,
yeah.
Or like I got there's a account called Token Jew, shout out. I'll put their handle up. And they said they sent me a t-shirt that says Token Jew on it, and it's like God damn it, where's my language skills? Tie-dye. It's tie-dye, and it says Token Jew on it. It's really cool. But like I still haven't like posted anything about it yet, or and there's no money exchange. They just like sent me a I'm just like, it was a bad influencer,
like a PR thing.
They just like DM me. They're like, I say you're Jewish, like send me some stuff. And then this company called, what are the fucking high top shoes?
Converse?
No.
High top?
They're like hipster kind of colorful.
Oh. No, not Doc Martens.
Very influencer sort of sourced as far as their like visuals go.
Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm talking about? I'm not sure. I'm sure I would if I saw them.
Yeah, you definitely. We'll find them off screen. I'll find them. What else? Okay, there's I mean, we could like podcast for another 2 hours, but there's stuff I wanted to ask you about that we didn't get to talk about, but we should just put links. You have a book.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it about a dog.
Yeah. About
Poo.
poo.
What's the title of the book? Kabuka.
Kabuki.
Kabuki?
Kabuki. What?
What's the title? It's going to be kind of close. What's the name?
See, it would have been funny if you said that confidently, like the satire podcasting thing. So you just released your new book, Kabuki. I'm just like,
you know.
Did you have the right evening?
About the dog? What is the title of the book?
It's What Will We Do with Goo? And
okay.
Yeah, it's
Goo.
Kabuki. Goo.
Goo. I knew it was like
Yeah.
a weird. Okay.
Yeah,
What
yeah,
will we do?
Goo.
Goo.
Yeah.
And then you
it's-
host like backpacking trips. It's like all this other shit you do.
Yeah, I do a bunch of random things, but and yeah, that just came from I love traveling, and so I've been hosting. I did a couple of them, some group trips to Iceland and Bali.
Cool. Oh, I think we were DMing when you were in Bali.
Yeah,
And I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. Oh, so cool. How
So
many
much
people came to those?
I think on both it was 11 guests.
Cool.
So
All new people that became friends
oh, for sure.
through the trip.
Yeah. And I still keep in contact with them. And I've been seeing like they're all keeping in contact, and they've
Cool.
even met up in different places in the world traveling because
Wow.
obviously we all share that interest.
Are you going to be doing another one this year or next year?
I might do another one. I low key would, maybe not so low key, would love to live in Europe for a year. So my thought process is either Europe or like Thailand or both. But my thought process is it'd be cool to combine living there with hosting trips around those areas.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's where my head is at with that moving forward. But
That's on your, if people want to go on one of those trips that you have planned, or they want to like see what that was like, or learn about any future like trips you're hosting, where would they go?
to just keep following me on Instagram, definitely at Haley Faulkner on Instagram and TikTok, because I don't have any trips planned currently. But when I do launch one, I'll definitely just be super obnoxious about posting
Yeah.
about it.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. 'Cause
It'll be
you're-
hard not to know that I'm
Oh my gosh. That
Yeah.
is epic. I want to know when it is. If you, yeah, maybe I'll come kumbaya.
kumbaya.
What else do you have coming? Do you have merch? Do you have merch?
I actually, I had merch for a few years,
cool
but I took it down because I'm just now rebranding it
Cool.
and gonna launch it hopefully in like a month. Just trying to get those samples, make sure it's quality, you know.
Are they based around, are they jokey? Is it your name? Is it like, what's the vibe? Is
I
it a
don't-
secret?
I don't know if I could. Well, no, because it's just a rebranding of my old merch. That said "Girls Are Hot" in a respectful way.
Oh, I loved that shirt.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that.
But I changed it, like changed the font and changed it to "Women Are Hot" in a respectful way. So, because I had a lot of people be like, they felt creepy about like the girls. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I can see that. I can see that. So, yeah. So I'm like, okay, respect.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna be relaunching that here soon, and I'm also just started filming an online course
For $20 a month.
for $20 a month.
You can tell us about the course.
Yeah. So I started a different Instagram page called Honey Heart.
ask you about.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that one's more so just about living authentically. And it's not just comedy. It's really just where I go and just talk about what's on my mind and all those things. But the course specifically is about overcoming social anxiety, because that for sure was the biggest thing that I overcame in my life. I had very extreme social anxiety. Like,
Wow.
yeah, very
Wouldn't be able to
quiet
tell.
and very reserved. Not really a lot of friends growing up. But then, yeah, that's what I worked on for years to overcome, to the point where I'm like traveling around the world and
Yeah.
being an influencer and like
Connecting
having
people.
cameras and all these things. So
Are these different like modalities and tactics that like you found along the way, and then you just put you put them together in a?
yeah. So
I
yeah.
didn't finish my sentence. But you got the
You know, the modalities.
modality.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's just everything that helped me along the way to overcome social anxiety. And also, a lot of it's going to be focused on, like, this is going to be a Facebook group all around it. Because for me, one thing that helps me overcome things when I'm challenged by something is finding other people who are on that journey or have not
Big time.
just overcame, but also are on it too. Because I'm like, oh, sweet, I'm not alone, and there's others.
Yeah, and I wonder if things are almost like not ever overcome. It's just kind of like ebbing.
Oh,
It's
for
just
sure.
there. Like it's just kind of there, and then you kind of like learn how to like.
Oh, for
I don't
sure.
finish my sentences, but you just learn how to move with it with a little more ease.
Yeah, and I guess when I say overcome, it's not so much that I never get social anxiety. It's just I feel more comfortable with it, like more empowered to, like you said, navigate that situation. Whereas before, social anxiety would be something that controlled me.
Like it stopped you
would
from
stop
actually
me
doing
from-
things.
It would be like, oh, I want to do that thing. Oh, but my social anxiety, I won't do the thing. Whereas now it's like, I want to do the thing. Ooh, there's some anxiety, but I can still do it.
Yeah.
You know, so that, to me, that's the difference. Because everyone has a level of anxiety.
For
And,
sure.
you
Sure.
know,
I literally had it when the blood clot came out.
Yeah, you're like, oh my
It's like,
gosh.
holy fuck. No, I definitely do. I take something for anxiety, so I get it. And that's like a hub basically where like you can share that part of yourself, and it's kind of like funneled in another direction
Right.
where it's its own community, it's its own thing, and people can connect with each other with it. And then do you have these are kind of like different like brands under your, or different
say-
not brands but like different pursuits, different soulful pursuits
Yeah.
under your
Yes and no, like for sure. But one thing that I found was consistently over the last 4 years, even though I've really only done comedy, the things that people would ask me 9 times out of 10 whenever people would come to me with a question, it was always about something to do with living authentically. A lot of it was linked to being queer, like people in the closet, or even, oh, I see that you're doing solo traveling. How do you do that? I want to do that. Or how do you get over the fear of doing that? Or so that kind of took me by surprise when like I'm doing comedy. It's just playful and silly, but so many messages of people with very like real questions of, how do you do that? How do you express yourself openly? And
do you think there's a certain level of people, when people who are, let's say, sitting on the sidelines, which we've all at one point been sitting on the sidelines, like when you are sitting on the sidelines and you see someone else in a dance with their own life, whatever that looks like, you're obviously witnessing someone being authentic to themselves. Like, you know, it's like, and when you even like witnessing someone be an asshole, it's like, if you're authentically an asshole, like, then be that. And I think there is something to that when you are just doing what you, this is an exercise in exactly what you're talking about. Like doing the podcast and like filming and having to fucking edit it and then look and seeing all the weird shit I do and interrupting people. Yeah. It's like, it's an exercise in putting myself out there because I've been inspired, like watching people that I love to podcast and other things that I've been attracted to because of that exact thing, because I'm seeing people be in their flow. I've seen other and who I've happened to connect with, and it makes you just want to be in tune with your own flow and like your own. So that is really cool that you're down to like respond to people, you know, and like talk to people and let alone create a whole space around it. For sure. You know what I mean? So is it something that you do like events for and like are planning on?
Yeah, so Honey Heart is still pretty new. I'm still kind of getting comfortable with that format. But yeah, I'm starting to make that course. I would love to do like retreats for it. And, you know, even though it's a course around social anxiety, most of it is just about helping people get in touch with their own intuitions. Because that's ultimately what we all want, you know, and that's what anxiety gets in the way of. How should I act right now versus how are you right now? Yeah. You know, just act, just you can just be, you know? So, cause I know when growing up in my era, it was really popular to have these motivational speakers or self-help people where they're like, okay, if you have social anxiety, because I was consuming all the information. Oh, okay. If you have social anxiety, this is what you say in a social setting.
What would they suggest?
Like conversation starters, like scripted almost. Okay. Like, oh, if you don't know what to say, like, say this. And then that, I'm like, but then what? Yeah. Just put something in my ear and I'll listen. You know?
Rather than teaching you the actual sauce of the thing, which is like just how to connect with yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is so hard for it's hard, let alone like we talked about earlier, just creating a place where you can even play. Right. As an artist and be with you, let alone a person who works maybe like a corporate job and has kids and it's like, when do you even have time to connect with your own self? So hopefully people are gonna like, you know, keep finding what you're doing, and like that would be really, you can combine your Bali retreats and your like Honey Heart. Would it be like
for sure Heart,
like
I mean Bali would be a great place for that.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, and it would just be like really relaxing.
What's the Honey Heart handle?
It's honey _heart and then I think like 3 underscores.
I'll put it right
Honey
here.
Heart.
We'll edit it in.
When you try to get a new handle in 2023, everything's taken. So you got to do like the 3 underscores.
Yeah, it's true. Everything's taken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to change all my shit too. And the only thing available was, you have to like be creative about it. Like Earth to Lowen. That's why, because there was no Lowen. There's like a German DJ with like 40 listeners who has my handle. So
hasn't posted in 5 years.
And posted, I DM'd it too. I was like,
yeah, you always got to try with the DM. Be like
I will buy it for.
Can I have it?
$100.
$100.
Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up. Do you want to cut us out of the podcast?
I would be honored to.
Shake us out of it. Hard cut. Beautiful. Woohoo!
Nice.